From boots flying across the room to managers punching players in the face. These are the craziest moments that ever happened inside a football dressing room.
Hugo Lloris was left very exposed there. And it looks like he's taking his frustrations out on Heung-min Son. And the discussions are continuing into the tunnel.
C'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon.
He's
the same for you?
He's the same for Ari. He's the same for Lucas. Make the run. 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. We nearly got to the goal.
At halftime during a Spurs match, with the team actually winning, Hugo Lloris decided he had seen enough. He went straight for Son Heung-min. The goalkeeper was furious that Son hadn't tracked back defensively. Words were exchanged. Things escalated. Teammates had to physically separate the pair. Giovanni Lo Celso and Harry Winks dragged them apart before it turned into something uglier. And then, Jose Mourinho was asked about it afterwards. His response? He called it beautiful, which tells you everything you need to know about that man.
I want to see a team that is connected with each other and that shines. And you want to transmit to him light and energy and passion and how you play football, and you choose the same.
But managers prefer a more hands-on approach with their players. It's August 2022. Arsenal are about to face Brighton. Mikel Arteta wants to say something meaningful, something his players will remember, so he walks into the dressing room holding a light bulb. He gathers the squad into a circle, holds the bulb in the air, and delivers one of the best motivational speeches. Arsenal lost 2-1. The bulb did nothing.
Oh, there's a fight going on here between two Newcastle players. Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer are having a fight.
Arteta may do his motivating with props, but these two players couldn't even wait to get into the dressing room. April 2005. Newcastle are already losing 3-0 to Aston Villa at St. James's Park when Lee Bowyer snaps. He accuses Kieran Dyer of not passing him the ball. Bowyer swings, punches are thrown. Players from both teams rush in. The referee sends them both off. Newcastle finished the game with 9 men. But these players went crazy and started a riot. During a heated Copa Libertadores clash between Boca Juniors and Atletico Mineiro, things went completely off the rails. After Boca had multiple goals ruled out by VAR, players lost their minds. Instead of heading quietly to their own dressing room, Boca players stormed down the tunnel toward Atletico Mineiro's dressing room, throwing punches, smashing barriers, and even clashing with police.
Sit down! Nobody talk! Sit down! Wait! Drink water and relax!
But when things go wrong at Manchester City FC, Pep Guardiola doesn't exactly whisper about it. Guardiola storms into the dressing room after a poor performance and completely unloads on his players. The calm, tactical genius everyone sees on the sidelines disappears for a moment. All the players sit silently while Guardiola tears into the performance, demanding urgency, pride, and intensity. The room is tense. Nobody talks back, nobody moves. They just listen.
Tranquilo. Merda! Giocavamo una merda sempre! Io también! Io también! Yo me incluyo también, pero no jugamos niente. Tenemos que decir la verdad.
Por eso, pero
tenemos que jugar en esta partida de Champions.
Even the greatest players lose their cool sometimes. After Juventus FC were knocked out of the Champions League by FC Porto, Cristiano Ronaldo reportedly stormed straight into the dressing room furious about the way the team defended. Ronaldo was in the dressing room, venting his frustration and demanding answers. It was heated. The atmosphere was tense, with several players arguing about the defensive mistakes that allowed Porto back into the tie. For a few minutes, the dressing room felt more like a courtroom with accusations flying everywhere. But not every dressing room explosion involves global superstars. Sometimes it happens at clubs fighting for survival. Inside the Burnley FC dressing room, things erupted after a match. Striker Lyle Foster began passionately calling out teammates after a disappointing performance. The speech started as motivation, but it didn't stay that way. Captain Jack Cork took issue with the way Foster was addressing the team, and suddenly the conversation turned into a full shouting match.
The second team! Sir! Last time I talked about your attitude! You come off, I don't need a mind, but I need the attitude! That's perfect! You were not good, just like all the other one! I could have taken off from Hendrick to the last one!
But it seems Burnley players just can't get things done without a fight. During a halftime speech, manager Vincent Kompany goes off the rails while motivating his players. He goes on to give one of the hardest speeches ever, leaving the players completely speechless. Tensions inside the Nigeria national football team dressing area erupted after a heated moment involving Victor Osimhen. Following a 4-0 win against Mozambique, Osimhen lost his temper after a disagreement with teammate Ademola Lookman about a missed opportunity. As the team headed toward the dressing room, the striker was still visibly furious, shouting and gesturing while teammates tried to calm him down. Osimhen stormed out of the dressing room angrily while everyone just watched.
Nel cuore la Sampdoria. Questo è il colpo di taekwondo di Ibrahimovic. Quella è la testa di ma già mi ha fatto male qua. Adesso mi ha fatto male qua.
During the Serie A title celebrations for AC Milan, players were partying and giving interviews after securing the Scudetto. One of those interviews featured Antonio Cassano speaking calmly to the cameras. Everything looked normal until Zlatan walked into the shot. Out of nowhere, Zlatan casually lifted his boot and kicked Cassano in the back of the head while he was speaking on live television. Cassano froze in disbelief while Zlatan casually walked away, smiling like nothing had happened.
Con lui ha un atteggiamento un po' più affettuoso. Ecco qui riapprezziamo il gesto non so Strasser quanto lo può apprezzare, pochino dalla sua espressione.
Dalla faccia direi poco, se non riusciamo a leggere.
But Zlatan seems to think kicking his teammates is his job, because during a training session at AC Milan, Zlatan suddenly launched a flying kick into teammate Rodney Strasser's back while everyone was gathered in a circle. Players nearby immediately reacted while Strasser tried to figure out what had just happened. The clip spread across football forums because it perfectly captured Zlatan's unpredictable personality. But this next player went too far by slapping their own teammate. During a heated game involving Everton FC, midfielder Idrissa Gueye suddenly slapped teammate Michael Keane after a heated exchange. The referee immediately sent Gueye off. The incident stunned players and fans because teammates rarely cross that line. After the match, the dressing room atmosphere was understandably tense, with apologies flying around as the team tried to calm the situation. But sometimes, even managers begin to brawl players. When the final whistle blew at the championship final between PSG and Chelsea, most people expected handshakes and the usual post-game drama. Instead, things took a weird turn. PSG manager Luis Enrique suddenly got involved in a heated exchange with Chelsea striker João Pedro. Cameras caught Enrique grabbing Pedro by the face during the chaos, and Pedro went down as players rushed in to separate them. It turned the end of the game into a mini melee, with both benches shouting and pushing.
That ends in acrimony. Jordan Henderson right in the thick of things.
But sometimes, players can't control their emotions and go after their opponents. The match between Brentford and Bournemouth finished in a dull 0-0 draw, but the real action happened after the whistle. Former Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson had to be physically restrained by teammates and staff as tensions exploded between Brentford players and Bournemouth coaches. Finger-pointing turned into shoving, and suddenly Henderson looked ready to charge toward the opposition before people dragged him away. When players are still this angry after a goalless draw, you know the trash talk must have been brutal during the game. Sometimes the chaos doesn't even come from the players or managers. During a fiery derby between Melbourne City FC and Melbourne Victory FC, things spiraled completely out of control. Fans had already been throwing flares onto the pitch when City goalkeeper Tom Glover picked one up and threw it away. Unfortunately, it landed near the opposing supporters. That sparked a pitch invasion by more than 100 fans, who stormed the field and attacked Glover and even the referee. The game had to be abandoned entirely.
Sacados, no encuentro otro término, en bronca, Robledo también, con uno de los médicos de Blooming, a los puños, no, listo, es una vergüenza.
But sometimes both teams just want to tear each other apart. A league match between Blooming and Bolivar in Bolivia turned so violent that it actually required police intervention. The chaos began after a nasty collision triggered a full-scale fight between players. Soon, benches emptied and the referee started handing out red cards like confetti. But the madness didn't stop there. After the match, the fighting continued inside the dressing room area, forcing police to use tear gas to break everything up.
Fierce rivals Cruzeiro and Atlético Mineiro, leading to a staggering 23 straight red cards, a record in Brazil football history. As the tension exploded after a collision involving Atlético goalkeepers.
Talking about players getting crazy, this match ended with 23 red cards. A fiery final between Cruzeiro and Atlético Mineiro turned into one of the wildest scenes football has seen in years. The trouble started when Atlético goalkeeper Everson aggressively confronted a Cruzeiro player lying on the ground. Within seconds, players from both teams rushed in and the situation exploded into a mass brawl involving players, substitutes, and staff. Punches were thrown, players were kicked, and chaos spread across the pitch. When everything finally calmed down, officials handed out an astonishing 23 red cards, one of the most extreme disciplinary outcomes ever in professional football. Football is the most exciting game to watch, but it has its moments of absolute craziness. If you want to see more intriguing football moments like these, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel.